What if the Chosen One never fell to the dark side, but also never stayed pure in the light? Picture this: Anakin Skywalker standing between two ancient enemies, rejecting both the rigid rules of the Jedi Council and the destructive power of the Sith. Instead of becoming Darth Vader, what if he created something entirely new? A Gray Jedi Order that would reshape the galaxy forever. Today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating alternate timelines in Star Wars lore. This isn't just about one man's journey, it's about how the entire fate of the galaxy could have changed with a single different choice. But be warned, this path to balance comes with a price that might be higher than anyone expected. Our story begins 18 months before Order 66, during the trial of Ahsoka Tano, when the Jedi Council wrongly accused his Padawan and then coldly welcomed her back as if nothing happened. Something fundamentally broke inside Anakin, but instead of turning to rage and hatred, he chose a different path entirely. The Jedi way is flawed, he realized, but so is the Sith path of pure emotion and destruction. In this timeline, Anakin doesn't seek power or revenge. Instead, he seeks balance, true balance. Working in secret during the remaining months of the Clone Wars, he begins studying the ancient texts, discovering references to the Jedi Order, the original Force users who embraced both light and dark aspects of the Force in harmony. His new philosophy gives him hope that he can be both a Jedi and eventually a husband and father without falling to darkness. Anakin begins quietly teaching this balanced approach to a small circle of trusted allies. His first students become Ahsoka Tano, who returns to study this new path, and Captain Rex, working with sympathetic medical droids during routine medical inspections. Rex helps Anakin secretly disable inhibitor chips in select clone units under the pretense of treating head injuries from battle. The Gray Jedi philosophy that Anakin develops focuses on emotional honesty rather than suppression, practical wisdom rather than rigid rules. More importantly, instead of trying to create a mass movement, he focuses on preparing a small network of trusted individuals who can help rebuild civilization after the war ends. They know something is wrong with the Clone Wars, but they don't yet understand that Palpatine himself is orchestrating both sides of the conflict. Working in secret, Anakin's small but dedicated network begins preparing for whatever comes after the Clone Wars. They sense something deeply wrong with the conflict, the way it drags on, the convenient timing of crises, the political maneuvering that seems to benefit no one except those in power. They're not building a rebellion against any specific enemy. They're building a foundation for reconstruction when the truth inevitably comes to light. Anakin teaches his core group advanced Force techniques that blend emotional awareness with practical application, but he's careful to keep the numbers small and the training intensive rather than widespread. The Gray Jedi approach focuses on creating teachers rather than students. Each member of Anakin's inner circle learns not just the philosophy of balance, but how to recognize and nurture Force sensitivity in others who might have been overlooked by traditional methods. They identify individuals throughout the galaxy who show potential but were rejected for being too old, too emotional, or too independent for conventional Jedi training. Most importantly, they develop practical skills beyond lightsaber combat and meditation. Gray Jedi learn engineering, diplomacy, agriculture, and governance, everything needed to help civilizations rebuild after war. The breakthrough comes when Anakin's network begins documenting the inconsistencies they observe in the war's conduct. They don't yet know who is responsible, but the evidence points to someone orchestrating events from a position of great authority, playing both sides against each other for reasons they can't yet understand. This revelation transforms their preparation from general post-war planning into a focused investigation of the conspiracy behind the Clone Wars. When Anakin finally discovers that Chancellor Palpatine is actually Darth Sidious, everything changes in ways no one could predict. But instead of confronting Palpatine directly, Anakin coordinates with his Gray Jedi network to gather irrefutable evidence. The Gray Jedi plan to expose Palpatine publicly after documenting his connections to both the Republic and Separatist leadership. However, Palpatine discovers the investigation when he senses Anakin's unusual emotional stability, something that conflicts with his predictions about the young Jedi's fall to darkness. Realizing his careful manipulation has failed and that exposure is imminent, Palpatine makes a desperate gambit. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment to reveal himself, Palpatine uses his existing emergency war powers to declare martial law, claiming that Jedi conspirators have been discovered plotting against the Republic. He activates Order 66 immediately, framing it as a response to an active Jedi coup attempt. The timing is imperfect, but his emergency authority as Supreme Chancellor during wartime provides the legal cover he needs. The situation becomes chaotic when Anakin brings his evidence to the Jedi Council, revealing both Palpatine's identity and the existence of his secret Gray Jedi network. The Council is shocked to learn that Anakin has been developing alternative Force teachings and working with a group they knew nothing about. 18 months of secret philosophical development suddenly becomes exposed, creating immediate tension. Master Windu leads a strike team to arrest the Chancellor while openly dismissing Anakin's network as compromised by attachment and refusing to coordinate with people he views as having abandoned true Jedi principles. The clone army faces an impossible situation. Those units where Anakin and Rex had disabled inhibitor chips refuse Order 66 entirely and begin protecting Jedi instead of executing them. Others follow their programming against all Force users. Many units, caught between contradictory orders from different commanders they've served under for years, face a crisis their conditioning never prepared them for. Which authority to obey when multiple legitimate commanders give conflicting orders? Palpatine uses this confusion to consolidate power in the core worlds, absorbing the Separatist territories and their industrial capacity into his new empire. Traditional Jedi forces, led by Obi-Wan, manage to evacuate with portions of the Republic fleet along with several thousand clone troopers who remained loyal to their Jedi commanders. Meanwhile, Anakin's Gray Jedi retreat to mid-rim systems where they'd been building relationships, taking Padme and the newborn twins to safety. The galaxy that emerges from this chaos develops something unrecognizable. Palpatine's empire controls the wealthy core worlds and begins the complex process of absorbing the former Separatist territories throughout the Outer Rim, gaining access to their droid factories and industrial infrastructure. However, this absorption takes years to complete and requires massive resources to integrate hostile populations who had been fighting the Republic for years. The traditional Jedi, forced to flee the core worlds, establish what they call the Restored Republic in the far reaches of wild space and the unknown regions. Territories beyond the traditional galactic rim where Imperial control is weakest and former Separatist influence was minimal. Working with the few dozen surviving Jedi Masters and Knights, they focus on asymmetric warfare and force multiplier tactics, recruiting extensively from frontier colonies, independent mining operations, and exploration outposts that had remained neutral during the Clone Wars. Rather than traditional Jedi training, they develop accelerated combat programs that teach basic Force abilities alongside guerrilla warfare tactics, working with frontier populations already accustomed to defending themselves against pirates, hostile wildlife, and harsh conditions. Obi-Wan's transformation from peaceful negotiator to frontier commander weighs heavily on him, but he believes that only by establishing a strong base beyond Imperial reach can they eventually challenge the Empire's control of civilized space. Yoda, deeply troubled by this departure from Jedi principles, focuses on preserving traditional knowledge and training the few Jedi younglings they manage to save, hoping that future generations can return to the old ways once the Empire falls. The Gray Jedi territories develop in the Mid-Rim, taking advantage of the power vacuum created when many former Republic worlds reject Imperial rule but don't want to join either the Separatist cause or flee to the frontier. These worlds, exhausted by years of war, welcome Gray Jedi advisors who offer practical assistance in rebuilding without the political baggage of either Imperial authoritarianism or traditional Jedi military occupation. This gives each faction a logical territorial base. The Empire struggles to consolidate control over the vast core and outer rim territories they've claimed. The traditional Jedi build strength in the unexplored frontier beyond Imperial reach, and the Gray Jedi prosper in the war-weary mid-rim systems that want stability without oppression. Most importantly, the Gray Jedi discover something that changes the strategic balance entirely. By combining Anakin's Force techniques with clone knowledge of inhibitor chip technology, they learn to awaken dormant Force sensitivity in individuals who would never have been detected by traditional methods. Over 18 years, this creates not dozens of powerful Force users, but thousands of moderately enhanced individuals across Gray Jedi space. Farmers who can sense weather patterns days in advance, engineers who can detect structural problems through the Force, negotiators who can read emotional undercurrents and find solutions others miss. Individually, none of them are powerful enough to fight Sith or command Starfleets, but collectively, they create a civilization that functions at a level Imperial efficiency experts can't understand or replicate. This gives the Gray Jedi Confederation something neither the Empire nor traditional Jedi possess: a sustainable economic model that actually improves over time as their enhanced population learns to work together more effectively, while Imperial forces drain resources through occupation and traditional Jedi exhaust themselves through constant warfare. What follows is a conflict that reshapes galactic civilization, but not in the way anyone expected. The Empire's overwhelming industrial advantage should have ended the war quickly, but they face a problem no amount of production can solve. The more they try to control through Force, the more resources they must spend on occupation and suppression. The traditional Jedi compensate for their smaller numbers through Force-enhanced guerrilla tactics and the recruitment of anyone with even minor Force sensitivity into accelerated military training programs. They abandon the careful, decades-long Jedi training methods in favor of teaching basic Force combat abilities in months rather than years. It's not traditional Jedi training, but it creates enough Force-capable fighters to challenge Imperial supremacy in specific regions. But the Gray Jedi approach creates more fundamental changes to galactic civilization. Their enhanced populations don't fight the Empire through superior firepower. They outcompete Imperial systems through superior efficiency. When Imperial logistics require massive convoys and complex supply chains, Gray Jedi confederations can adapt quickly to changing circumstances because their enhanced populations can coordinate almost instinctively. This creates a strategic stalemate that none of the factions anticipated. The Empire has the most raw power, but struggles with the economic burden of controlling hostile populations. Traditional Jedi forces can win tactical victories, but can't hold territory without becoming as oppressive as the Empire they're fighting. Gray Jedi territories prosper and expand through voluntary association, but they lack the military strength to directly challenge Imperial strongholds. The real breakthrough comes when civilian populations across the galaxy begin to see the differences between the three approaches. Imperial rule offers order and security, but at the cost of freedom and crushing taxation to fund the military. Traditional Jedi liberation brings freedom from Imperial tyranny, but often replaces it with military occupation by people who claim to know what's best for everyone. Gray Jedi territories, meanwhile, demonstrate something unprecedented: enhanced populations that become more prosperous and stable over time, rather than requiring constant military protection. This philosophical victory proves more powerful than either Imperial firepower or traditional Jedi liberation campaigns, as more systems begin requesting Gray Jedi advisors not out of desperation, but because they genuinely want to improve their societies. While the three factions exhaust themselves in philosophical and military conflict, the Emperor works on a project that makes the Death Star seem primitive by comparison. But this isn't a weapon he could have built at any earlier time. The Force siphoning device requires something that only existed after 18 years of widespread Force user conflict. A galaxy where thousands of people across multiple systems have developed Force sensitivity through different methods and philosophies. The Emperor's true genius becomes clear when his weapon targets the Sullust system for its first test. A major industrial center that has been contested between all three factions, Sullust represents the perfect demonstration. Valuable enough to show the weapon's power, strategically important to all sides, but ultimately replaceable since it's located in disputed territory rather than the Empire's core world heartland. The weapon's test reveals the terrible truth. Every philosophical argument, every strategic disagreement between the factions, every Force user choosing a different path has been feeding energy into this device. The Emperor didn't just survive the exposure of his identity, he used the ideological chaos it created to power something that could never have existed in a galaxy where all Force users followed the same philosophy. But the weapon's activation creates an unexpected consequence. The massive Force disturbance caused by draining an entire star system sends ripples through the Force that can be felt across the galaxy. For the first time in 18 years, the Emperor's location becomes detectable to Force users everywhere, while simultaneously revealing the true scope of Gray Jedi enhancement programs that had remained hidden through their subtle, distributed nature. For the first time since Anakin split from the Jedi Council, the Gray Jedi and traditional Jedi recognize they face an existential threat that makes their philosophical differences seem trivial. But their hasty alliance, joined by Imperial defectors who refuse to participate in system-wide genocide, reveals both the damage 18 years of conflict have done and their unexpected complementary strengths. The traditional Jedi provide direct military power and frontier resources, accumulated through years of independence in the unknown regions. The Gray Jedi offer innovative tactics and enhanced coordination. Most surprisingly, Imperial defectors bring crucial technical knowledge about the weapon's vulnerabilities. The assault on the Emperor's weapon becomes a demonstration of how different approaches to the Force can work together when facing a common threat. Traditional Jedi lead direct fleet attacks using their combat-focused training and the substantial resources they've accumulated through years of mining operations, frontier trading, and alliances with independent colonies in the unknown regions. Gray Jedi coordinate infiltration teams that combine their enhanced population's subtle abilities with clone deserters' technical expertise. Imperial defectors, many of them former separatist engineers who understand the hybrid technology, provide the specific knowledge needed to disable the weapon's core systems. The victory comes not from any single faction's superiority, but from the recognition that 18 years of division, while costly, had also created capabilities that no unified Force tradition could have developed alone. Victory against the Force-siphoning weapon comes at a cost that none of the factions anticipated. As the Emperor dies, he reveals information that recontextualizes everything that has happened. The three-way war, the philosophical splits, even Anakin's original break with the Jedi Council 15 years earlier. All of it served a purpose far greater than any Sith Lord's ambition for galactic domination. The careful development of balanced Force users that seemed like such a triumph has actually created exactly what ancient observers from beyond the galaxy's edge have been waiting to see. Not massive armies of Force users, but hundreds of individuals whose training in emotional balance and practical wisdom makes them ideal candidates for purposes that transcend the simple light and dark side conflicts that have dominated galactic Force traditions. The Emperor's final transmission reveals communications with entities that remember when the galaxy was young. These beings have observed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, always searching for Force-using cultures that can develop genuine wisdom rather than just power. The original Jedi Order represented an early attempt at balance, but they remained isolated on their single world. The ancient Sith and Jedi represented opposite extremes, powerful but ultimately self-destructive. Now, for the first time, a Force-using culture has developed that combines emotional balance with practical governance, individual wisdom with cooperative society, and most importantly, the ability to teach these qualities to others across multiple worlds and species. To the ancient watchers, This represents not a threat to be eliminated, but a civilization that has matured enough to join something far larger than a single galaxy. Deep in the unknown regions, ships that dwarf anything in the known galaxy begin their approach toward the galactic edge. Their crews are beings who learned to balance the Force eons ago, and who have spent the millennia since then exploring what lies beyond the traditional boundaries of the Force itself. The Gray Jedi haven't created a better path for their own galaxy. They've simply completed the maturation process that marks a civilization ready to discover what exists in the vast spaces between galaxies. The question isn't whether Anakin created a more balanced approach to the Force. The question is whether the galaxy is ready to learn that balance was always meant to be just the beginning of a much larger journey into possibilities that no one has yet imagined. If you've enjoyed this journey through an alternate Star Wars timeline, there are more untold stories waiting to be discovered. Join our growing community of Star Wars enthusiasts who believe in exploring these what-if moments that could have changed the galaxy far, far away. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and activate notifications to catch our next alternative Star Wars story. Each tale offers a new perspective on the characters we love and the choices that define them. Remember to share your thoughts in the comments below. What other pivotal moments in the Star Wars saga would you like to see explored differently? Your ideas might inspire our next adventure. May the Force be with you, always.